So this is the next one in the range from the wonderful Angelos, and this one is called Apres Cologne, as you can see from the title. I'll just get straight into it really. For me it kind of opened with a lovely melange of citrus. There's neroli and there's a strong petitgrain. Yes, it's true. Didn't immediately love this one. It's also got that traditional sort of classic splash on cologne kind of feel about it. It's very natural smelling and it is very refreshing. Obviously the neroli and the petitgrain do bother me a bit when I'm smelling it, but the citrus is pretty nice in there. And one of the most noticeable citruses, sadly, is grapefruit, and we know I'm not a big grapefruit lover, but it is super fresh and beautiful. Now it doesn't change massively, but you do start to pick out, oh, it's lovely, isn't it? You do start to pick out the vetiver, and the sweeter citruses do come through. It just stays very fresh and very sharp, and it is one of them that kind of takes you back to yesteryear really. So what did I think about it? Well, it's not my cup of tea, but I can't lie, but it is a very, very, very well done kind of nod to them old citrus fragrances. Them kind of old, good look at that, it's beautiful. You can see it's sunset now, but yeah, it's a nod to them classic old kind of citrus fragrances that we remember our dads wearing, or we might imagine a very distinguished Italian gent wearing. It's so fresh, it's so classy. Not only that, I mean, the other two will get more into the notes and they'll talk about their experience with longevity and things like that, and that, I'm not somebody who ever talks about that. But what I found with this one is citrus does last on me a long time, but this one didn't only just last on me, it did keep on jumping off me, and it's so refreshing. Sometimes I wish I liked neroli and petitgrain and grapefruit, these kind of bitter notes, because what they are very, very fresh. It's like going for a wash in a mountain spring, isn't it? It's just so refreshing and so cooling and so beautiful. I mean, again, look at that. You can't really feel the temperature it is here, but it is bracingly cold. It's a very cold autumn's day. Come on, wind, stop. And it's just, yeah, it is like that. It's so refreshing. So now on to the other two. I mean, because I got a lot of orange and citrus and things like that, Lizzie Betty's no doubt going to get a lot of rose, and Scott is going to get something quite different. But now to you, Scott. Thank you, folks.
Well, thank you very much, John. Right, as John said, this is by Angelos Creations Olfactives, and it is Apres Cologne. Now I'll just quickly read you the notes. In the top we have lemon and bergamot, and then blood orange, pink grapefruit, lime, orange sweet, and red mandarin. And in the mids we have neroli maroc, and then orris butter from grass, I believe, and then petitgrain bigarratier, whatever that is. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Sea fennel, and then in the base we have musk, tea tree, vetiver from Java, I believe, and then Tantalum spicatum, don't know what that is, and cistus absolute. Now I've made a fool of myself. I was going to say another word beginning with T and ending in T. Yes, what do I get from this? Now this, like John says, it reminds me of a sort of an Italian type of fragrance, like a barbershop fragrance. It's not as soapy as most barbershop fragrances. It's got heaps and heaps, as you heard by the notes, of citruses. Absolutely gorgeous, sharp but not too sharp, and then they suddenly die down a little to bring in this creaminess. And I think it's that creaminess that gives it such a beautiful, clean and comforting smell. It's a real good take on what I would call a barbershop fragrance, but far more to it, as in the fruits. It really is quite mouth-watering. The vetiver does come through slightly as time goes on. It's not hugely prominent, and this lasts forever and ever. It's unbelievable. Usually when you get barbershop fragrances, they don't last so long, but this, once you sprayed it on, I've only sprayed one spray on it, and it lasted me the other day. It lasted me all through the night. I can still get wafts of it, so it's unbelievable. The other notes in there, like your petitgrain, I mean, it gives that a kind of a woody floral type of feel to it. It's not, none of the notes in here actually overwhelm, so they don't stand out on their own. They're all playing a part themselves, and it's quite hard to pick and choose. But right at the beginning, I get heaps of lime, and then the grapefruit, the sharpness of the grapefruit comes through. It's actually sharper than what the lime is. Don't get so much mandarin orange. It's more of the citruses, you know, the lemons, the limes, and your grapefruit that is coming through for me. But I'm loving it. I think it's beautiful. That is Angelos Creations Olfactives Apres Cologne. Now over to you, Lizzie.
Thank you guys, and thanks to everyone that's tuned in for what is actually our 6th episode of our Angelos Olfactive Creation collaboration. Obviously doing it from all angles, taking us quite a bit of time to get to the 6th one, and on this occasion they've both been waiting on me because I've been so busy. So thank you both for your patience. I've got my very technical props all ready, and we're going to dive straight in. So obviously we are on the Apres Cologne. So this is obviously the cologne offering from the house. This is Cologne Angelos style. Now, I'm not going to spray this again. I have actually just sprayed it, and I've already had a good wear of it before today. It's very strong. I don't need to spray it again. Thanks, Scott, for reading off all the notes there. You've saved me from a lot of embarrassing pronunciation. So Apres Cologne, as you've heard the guys say, it's a very citrus heavy fragrance. I didn't really bother looking at the notes until I actually given it a good wear, because I don't want to be influenced or steered by anything. So when I first sprayed this, yes, you get this heavy hit of citruses. What I've written down is I get like an equal sharing of an orange, a lime and a lemon. I get them in equal sharing. I don't think one sits particularly heavier than the other. I can smell all three equally, and they're very thick and they're dense and really, really zesty. And when I say zesty, it's the rind. I feel like I'm smelling the rind of all the fruits as opposed to the juicy aspect. I don't think it's particularly juicy. It is bright and refreshing in the beginning, but it's still got this heavy depth in there. And as you move on from that initial spray, the scent stays the same to a certain degree, but it does seem to get warmer and thicker. Thicker, warmer, and punchier. It's very deep and weighty, but there's nothing particularly complex about it. So the dry down, the proper wearing, you know, the actual wearing you're going to be with for the rest of the wear is, to me, quite resinous. It gets very deep, but kind of in a resinous way, almost oily, very, very smooth. Very, you know, the quality is really good here. You can tell from, and it reminds me of Elamai, which I've gotten a few of my fragrances, and I think it's really a satisfyingly sort of lemony. It's like a resin from a tree, Elamai or Elemi, and it feels like there's that running through it. Reminds me of Roger Dove Midsummer Dream. I don't know if anyone's ever tried that. I've got a decant of that. I don't wear it often because I don't know when to wear it, because it's sort of bright. It's got ginger in, I think. It's bright and refreshing. You'd think of it would be for summer, but because it has this very luxurious, oily quality, it's too heavy for summer. So it reminds me of this. There's this plump, silvery feel, which reminds me a little bit of ambergris, reminds me a little bit of iris. There's this, yeah, like this silvery, sort of buttery, rooty feeling about it. Again, riding in that luxurious, oily, oily base. And that's the bit that I think is quite dominant when I'm walking around. That's the bit I can smell. but it's very beautifully balanced with the citruses even. I've got to say, I really do like it. It's a good quality citrus scent, basically, with that heavy, luxurious resin kind of feel. A bit of a woody feeling as well. So that's my take on Apres Cologne. Now, both the guys thought this was very barbershop. No, not how I understand a barbershop scent to be. I think of barbershop, I think of that very sharp fougere, fern quality with the lavender, you know, that very sharp, astringent sort of quality, fresh and refreshing, but not in the citrus sort of way. I would agree that it's very strong. I don't think you would lose this if you wear this on a summer's day. I think this will stay with you all day. Scott didn't get much of the orange in this. He got more of the lime. I think perhaps the lime is quite noticeable in the beginning. I get a lot of lime. As it dries down, I'm definitely getting more of an orange and lemon sort of feeling. But I don't get any of the neroli or petitgrain, because I know Jon mentioned that. Looking at the notes, right old fruit basket of different citruses. Is orange a citrus? Am I being really thick? Bergamot, lemon, orange, grapefruit, lime, mandarin, a whole load. And the opening is beautifully fruity. It's very bright and very, really refreshing in the opening. See, there is some orris butter in here, so I think that's contributing to that sort of rooty, silvery, oily sort of feeling. There's something called sea fennel in this, which is interesting. Now that I've read sea fennel, it's like a little sparkle of something aniseedy, but just a real hint. I pick up on the vetiver in the dry down for sure. Now, I know this wasn't Jon's cup of tea, and I think Scott quite enjoyed it. I would say that we can all agree that it is just a really well done citrus cologne, but with a much more resinous, luxurious quality than it just being a very simple sort of splash on fruity scent. Angelos always packs so many notes into each fragrance, so although I can sort of stand here and say, well, it's not complex, it smells good. It smells resinous and luxurious and high end. So the complexities they're there because they would be giving you this beautiful, quality fragrance. So that is my take on Apres Cologne. Time to choose the next one. So we have 3 fragrances left in the series. I'm going to pick them all up. Whichever one drops out my hand will be the next one. Episode 7. So our next fragrance will be Queer Florissant. So thanks again to Jon and Scott. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Thanks ever so much, guys. Take care. Over and out.